And we're back on True Eagle for a preview of a game that I cannot wait for. This might be the only game that I'm dreading, like legitimately dreading. I cannot wait for this game to be in the rearview mirror. I'm looking forward to the game after that so we can stop talking about the Sydney Eagles game. I've just got such an awful feeling about this. We know what happened last time. COVID hit and they had to cancel the game, but Sydney still went out into the SCG and kicked 35 goals. That's just bad sportsmanship. But in all seriousness, I mean, I don't know how much to analyse from last time we met. I picked out a few things that might be worth noting. So the score was 93-25 last time we played the Sydney at the SCG at halftime. 93-25. And I remember thinking, ooh, it might be 100 points. What an idiot. The second half is jarring though. 112-9. We lost to half by 103 points. 77 inside 50s to 34. That's only 10 more inside 50s than GWS got against us in round 2. But obviously, like, if you remember, the ball was just streaming through the midfield. Great. 34 inside 50s is a fair bit down on our average, which is already bad. 440 disposals to 300, and we still lost the tackle count. So that's probably about as much as we need to analyse from that game. Like, we don't need to really try and diagnose everything. Just everything was poor. Everything was terrible. And I do think it's a trickle-down of effect of a long period of us being a shit team, where in that game we just gave up. Like, legitimately gave up more so than any other performance. On the plus side, we have not shown signs of that this year. I am concerned, though, that copying so many batterings early in the season will have a trickle-down effect. And, you know, by the time we play Richmond is the next game we play after we play the Swans. That's meant to be our first winnable game of the year. And technically, that's true. Richmond might not make the finals, and it's at home. That's still a good side, but, like, that's still a much easier fixture comparatively compared to what we had in the first 3 rounds. But I'm not looking forward to that game. I don't think that's going to go well. Anyway, I'm feeling pretty negative today. One other thing that caught my eye was the team was younger against Sydney than it will be this round by about 6 months. I'm not really sure why. That's not an excuse at all, by the way. But that one caught my eye. I don't know why we were so young that day. I'll go through some players that played that day that won't play in this game. Unfortunately, some of them are good players. Shuey won't play. Reed will, obviously. Sheed won't play, but Cripps comes in. That's an upgrade. Allen won't play, obviously. Waterman may or may not play. Like, it was reported that he had a knee brace after the Bulldogs game. So that concerns me. So we don't really know. Bazzo played that game, but McGovern didn't. Then there's a few types like Hewitt, SBS, Witherden, and Gaff. And I don't know if Witherden or Gaff, we can't rule out them getting selected this week. I'm obviously recording this before selection. So I will quickly go through what changes I would make. So you probably caught on to the fact that when I did my post-Bulldogs game review, I talked about dropping Brockman. I had no idea he had a concussion. I obviously missed that. So he's obviously ruled out for this week. And we don't know about Waterman. I've seen one tweet. It could be nothing. And, you know, in terms of form, there were so many players that didn't have a good day against the Bulldogs. You know, the bottom 6 was quite light, which is something we've become accustomed to. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Chester playing a whole game and getting 7 disposals. It's probably time for him to go back to the Waffle rather than sub. So that's 3 potential outs for this game. In terms of ins, it's been reported that Rotham's flown over to Melbourne to meet the team. And this one, I don't want to be super salty, but there's a few players that I just don't think we should put back in the team. I've written them off a little bit, respectfully. But Witherden, Rotham, and Gaff, possibly. Gaff is probably the one that adds the most when he comes back. He has been deplorable. That is possibly the biggest list management blue we've made. I mean, lots get talked about the Tim Kelly deal. I'm fine with the logic of that one, but how did Rotham get a 3-year contract? Anyway. The only reason I can think Rotham might come back in is if Waterman is out, we are pretty devoid in our forward 50. So maybe they're thinking Rotham in to play tallback and Barras forward. There's been a little bit of smoke around that. I'm not feeling great about that, but that might be the logic to it. So as for the Waffle, like who are a couple of guys we can make debuts? So first of all, Rawlinson was tweeted about by Ryan Daniels, and he's pretty switched on, and he says he's close to a debut. It doesn't mean that he will necessarily get picked this week, but he had 3 goals and 14 touches in the Waffle. And, pretty skinny, small kid. I reckon, like, if we bring him in, I would love to see him. I actually think this guy might have a future with us. but I don't know if he's going to really see much of the ball if he plays against Sydney. And then there's Dewar, who had 2 goals and 11 touches. Dewar, sorry. I've been corrected in the comments about it being Dewar. The players all call him Dewar. I need to get in the habit of saying Dewar. But he had 2 goals, 11 touches, and again, like, he's been in the mix. He was on the extended bench at least once, maybe twice this year. So one of Dewar and Rawlinson might replace Brockman. Rotherham might come back in, and Barras swings forward for Waterman. Now, I might actually support us picking Gaff as the subber this week. Now, there's logic to that. I'd rather see Chester get a full game of Waffle. I'd rather see maybe Luke Edwards in the team over Gaff. Gaff could come in and just be a specialist sub for a little while. Like, we're not harming his development by putting him as the sub. And, maybe it gives him an opportunity to come in and really be motivated to impact. So if he comes on as the sub and has a good quarter and a half, maybe that's the best case scenario for Gaff. I think I'd rather see that than Chester be sub again. I think that's limiting him in his development. On the more positive side, we got Sheed and Cully back playing Waffle this week. I'd imagine Cully's not too close to team selection. Sheed, you'd imagine, will phase back in, but I reckon it'll be a few weeks. And then Liam Ryan the week after that. So that's at least positive news, and hopefully, even on limited minutes, it just helps strengthen the Waffle team, which will help out guys like Zane True and Clay Hall. So let's talk about, what do I expect from this game? I just think Sydney's strength is burning teams on turnover and transition, and that is clearly our biggest weakness. We're probably the worst in the comp for doing that. My hope that to stop this game from getting ugly will be we will look at tape at how Richmond were able to sort of dismantle Sydney. Maybe dismantle is a bit strong, but they obviously suffocated them a little bit. Relentless pressure. You look at what young guys are doing at Richmond. Guys with no profile, with a team that's got an injury list, and it's far exceeding what we're doing. And I think it's all between the ears. It really is a mental thing, and that's why I'm feeling bad about this game, because I'm worried about the flow-on effect. I don't think this game's going to go well. We're going to get slapped, and I'm worried what happens after that, but I try not to catastrophize. Let's just talk about this game. We need to look at what Richmond did and be motivated and inspired by that. Can we do it enough to beat Sydney? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But if we can get motivation and take from their example, then it gives us a bit of belief, like this is possible, even if you don't necessarily have the 22 that compete with Sydney. So that is my best case scenario for us. I'm worried about our ability to score. So I'm thinking this game's like 120 to 30. That's my prediction. We just don't play well against Sydney. Like 2021, we lost by 100 points. We've beaten them 3 times since Ben Cousins' comeback game. Recent form against them terrific. 30 goal loss last year. They're a better team than they were last year as well. Forgive me, guys. Normally I'm a little bit more emotionless. At least I try to be during these pre-games, but I'm just not feeling good about this game, and I'm just trying to be honest about it. I anticipate this is the game where pressure really mounts on Simo. And for the record, I will actually, there's a little bit of context I will add at the end of this video to make us feel a little bit better, hopefully. But this is the game, I reckon, where the media starts to really call for Simo's head, because we're going to get annihilated. But for me, I'm personally more concerned what happens after this game. So this is the next block of fixtures. We got Richmond at Optus, we got a home derby, we got Gold Coast away, and we got Essendon at Optus. I'm already conceding we're going to get slapped against Sydney. Richmond I'm not confident we're going to win this game, but this is a critical 4 weeks for Simo. And while I've been relaxed about, the way results have gone, we do need to show something, and it needs to come in these slightly easier run of fixtures. When you're rooted to the bottom of the ladder, every game seems hard, so none of these games are simple, obviously. But Richmond Optus, home derby, Gold Coast away, Essendon Optus. We need to be close to winning some of these games. And I mean like 2 or 3 goals. If we are not demonstrating that, if the margins are 40 to 50, we're not getting the ball inside 50, we're looking lackluster, we're switching off for... we can switch off for a quarter, but maybe not 2. That's, for me, the tipping point. If we get through that 4 weeks and we don't show any signs of improvement, that, for me, is at the point where we're like, okay, maybe a new coach at mid-season. I haven't really said my piece on Simo specifically. I just really think it's too early in the season to be having these discussions. I mean, how often do you see a coach get sacked in, round 4? It's not going to happen. But maybe mid-season, that's where we can look at it and look at this year in isolation. Clean slate is not the right word, but I do think we need to look at what we're seeing this year. And in the past, like in the first 3 weeks of this season, I've been very much like, let's analyze what we're seeing right now. But there needs to be some pressure on improvement, and it needs to come from this 4 weeks. After that, if we get through that okay, we've got Collingwood at Marvel. We're not going to win that, but It is at Marvel, and despite what happened against the Bulldogs, we definitely play well at Marvel compared to, you compare my Marvel performances to our Optus Stadium performances, and we seem to go right at that ground. We got Melbourne at Optus, Adelaide away, St Kilda at Optus, and then North at Optus. So a fair few home games in there, games in Perth, some reduced travel. We need to be jagging a couple of wins by the bye, absolutely. Or if we have one, then maybe look good in 2 or 3 other games, like genuinely decent. This is the part of the season where the pressure is going to be rightfully there. Having said all that, this has been a very negative, really negative video. Having said all that, a really interesting thing. So I've done my unpopular opinions video on True Footy, and I noticed something about Hawthorn's start to last year. Where is it? Okay, so obviously Hawthorn slaughtered us in the round 10 last year. Horrific performance. Absolutely. But prior to that, they were 1-8. They were bottom of the ladder. Look at some of the losing margins: 59, 54, 69, 81, 82. If we are just looking at what we've produced so far this year, that is not as bad as what Hawthorn did last year. And yet we're being talked about as the worst team in the competition. Now, obviously, you look back to middle of 2021 and we haven't won a lot of games. But now, have you already noticed, like, people are starting to ignore what happened to us in 2022 and 2023? I am not saying that we have an excuse for being really, really bad now. I'm just saying, like, that as an analysis is not super convincing for me. We do need to take into account the end of 2021, and we do need to take into account in 2023. And I am borderline concerned, but I'm also saying we need to improve over the next 4 to 8 weeks, big time. But until that happens, I am not going to be calling for his head. I'm just saying that is going to be the period of time where we can finally really get a read on us. Well, this was not a light-hearted preview at all. Can you tell how I'm feeling? Just some other points, guys. This is the last Eagles video I'll do before I fly to America. So if you weren't aware, I'm flying away for about a month. Now, I'm still going to be uploading. And I've actually done a mountain of work behind the scenes. I've uploaded less on True Footy lately, and I've made about 10 videos over the next 2 months to drop on this channel. I think some of them are good. I've done a 2011 rewind. I've done a 2015 rewind. I have done a classic players video. That should be out any day now, actually. And a bunch more. Top 10 memories of being an Eagles fan. That's going to drop over the next couple of months. So I'm still going to be active, and I'm still going to be probably uploading at least once a week on True Eagle, just talking about where we're at, how this loss went. So I'll be in America for this Sydney game. It'll be at 10 p.m. Which is an awkward time, and I'll be with my sister and her family and her 2 little kids, so on Sundays it's going to be hard for me to record, so the format will change a little bit. I'm just letting you guys know, but I have tried very hard to make sure that the content will still be coming out fairly regularly on True Eagle and True Footy as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments your thoughts of this upcoming Sydney game. This has been super negative. You know what I did last night? So when I obviously got 2 YouTube accounts now, I've got True Eagle and True Footy. So when I'm on True Eagle, sometimes my old Eagles True Footy videos get recommended to me, and I found a couple of rants from 2021 last night, and I was watching it back, and I was like, I forgot how bad the end of 2021 was. And then maybe that's put me in this negative funk at the moment. And, you know, maybe I need you guys to straighten me out. To summarize though, this week will be awful. And then the next 4 weeks is huge for us. It's huge for Simo. And we're just looking for improvement. It'd be great to jag a win. If we don't jag a win, but we looked good, then I'll be relaxed until the next block of 4 games, and eventually we're going to need to start actually winning games. Whilst at the same time, whilst I've been a little bit mentally all over the place in this video, still don't want to blow out of proportion the first 3 weeks of this year. I'm not going back on what I've said about any of that. Nonetheless, there needs to be some scrutiny that will arise over the next 8 weeks. I hope this made sense. This was very much stream of consciousness, but thank you very much for watching this, guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. Next time I see you, I'll be in America. So cheers, and I appreciate you. See ya.